Good evening, everyone. This is the CLNS Media Network's New England Patriots Postgame Show. I am your host, Mike Molyneaux, alongside my guy, Marvin Ezhan. Final score at Gillette Stadium, 35-17, with the New England Patriots defeated the Miami Dolphins. Marv, division rivalry game, Patriots Dolphins. We know the history between these two teams. A game where I felt the Patriots had a chance early on to put it away. I'm talking going into halftime with a big lead, but the Dolphins put up 10 points in that second quarter to keep the score somewhat close, but then the Patriots, just took over for the rest of the game. But big time defense. They finished the game with 7 sacks on Moore and 2 interceptions on Moore. So at the same time where, the Patriots, Tom Brady does his thing offensively, the defense stepped up big time with those turnovers I've been looking forward to.
Turnovers were the key of this game in both sides. My Patriots also, had 2 turnovers themselves with a Brady interception and that fumble early in that first half. So that's the only reason why this game is so close. You mentioned the 17 points that the Patriots could have really blown them out. Those 7 points that came off that fumble, off the snap, really kept Miami kind of close into this game. But the Patriots had this game pretty much handled throughout. And then you mentioned it, Mike. 7 sacks in this game.
Something it's
like the Patriots realized, if you really get to this quarterback, teams can't move. And Trey Flowers, you had the Marquise Flowers, you even had the rookie Lee come in at the end of the game to get a sack. Everyone was contributing and getting to this quarterback. Great overall game by this defense.
Yeah, like I just said before, I've been looking forward to a game where we can see the Patriots not only get to the quarterback, consistently put pressure on the quarterback. And, I'm not even asking for sacks half the time. Yes, sacks are huge. They can really swing the momentum of a game. But even if you're just putting pressure on a quarterback to just have them, creeping and looking over their shoulder, that's all I've been really looking forward to. But in a game where the Patriots got 7 sacks, I can't remember the last time the Patriots got more than 2 or 3 sacks in a game.
It was a lot of efforts. And Landon Roberts had 2 sacks. Like I mentioned, Flowers got 2 sacks. You even got corners coming out there. Jonathan Jones, everyone was contributing into getting the quarterback. And then you also get interceptions. Gilmore steps in. He gets an interception early at the end of the second quarter to close out what seemed like a solid Miami drive. And then at the end of this game, you have Stephen Gilmore again with Harmon, who both I don't know if you can have a half interception. They both get it, but they both collectively got an interception. It looked like it was Gilmore's, and Harmon said, "Yeah, cool, I want one as well." So great overall game by this defense. I think this might be one of their best performances.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. Obviously, we won't get too excited. It's the Miami Dolphins, and Moore is their quarterback. Backing up another bum in Jay Cutler, who. Patriots probably had similar performance if he even started the game, but it's the Miami Dolphins, so, you can't read too much into it. But at the end of the day, when a team performs this well on defense against whatever team it is in the NFL, you got to be happy and feel that the momentum that you have from the performance in this game can carry over into future games, later on in the season. But as much as we've been talking about the defense, I'm sorry. As much as we've been talking about the defense, how they performed today, let's look a little bit at the offense. In my opinion, in games where we usually see the Patriots where a lot of people, get involved. Brady's really spreading the ball all over the field to different receivers. This was really between Brady and then 4 other people.
Okay.
Tom Brady leading the way, Burkhead, Lewis, and then Cooks and Gronkowski. Those were the 4 weapons that, the offense really relied upon. Tom Brady really relied upon to have a big impact on the game. And those guys really did not disappoint today.
Lewis was incredible, Mike. Every week we're starting to talk about this guy, Dion Lewis. 15 carries, 112 yards. This is his first game in his career when he ran over 100 yards,
wow.
Which is surprising to believe. But Dion Lewis, big game from him. Burkhead, as you mentioned, he had that fumble last week and he really slowed him down. But this week comes in with 13 carries, 50 yards, and he got the touchdown. He was also in the receiving game as well with 2 receptions. So Burkhead, becoming that versatile back, another guy, another week where James White, we don't see much of him because Lewis has just been dominating. Burkhead is becoming that pass down, and he's been running with the ball well. You mentioned Gronk and Cooks. Great games from both those guys. Brandon Cooks, once again, leads the team in receptions with 6 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. That touchdown, sweet run play that Brady likes to, it counts as a passing touchdown, but it's more like a sweep. We've seen them run that play before, and with Cook's speed, it's incredible. Then you got Gronk, great Gronk game, great bounce back game. He's been struggling these past couple weeks getting to the end zone. This week, 5 receptions, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns. The man's just unstoppable.
And the thing I like about what the Patriots have in Gronkowski, and I think something that we talked about during the game while we were watching, and what the Patriots have learned with Gronkowski is last year, obviously we all know how talented and how important Rob Gronkowski is to this New England Patriots team. And when he's on the field and when he's performing, it's usually a good day for the offense. But I think last year, what they have to go through, the adversity they have to go through with not having Gronkowski on the team and having to depend on so many other guys to step up, I think that really helped this Patriots team this year. Obviously there's no Edelman. He's another huge part. But with everybody else that they have, and then on top of that, you get Martellus Bennett back into the mix. I think this team really can now play games where they don't have to fully depend on Rob Gronkowski to have monster games. Yes, it's great. And yes, when Rob Gronkowski has monster games, it's probably big numbers put up by the Patriots offense. But at the same time, if Gronkowski's not having a typical Gronk game, the Patriots can still find a lot of success. Even the last couple of weeks where, the red zone offense has struggled.
Yeah.
And Gronkowski's stats, where he's usually hot in the red zone, his stats haven't been there because of the struggles. But the Patriots have still been able to get the job done and defeat teams. A lot of that is what, the offense is able to do at the same time. The defense has been playing pretty well these last couple of weeks. But when Gronkowski plays, he can either have a big game and it just puts up a lot of points for the Patriots. They can put up a lot of points, or, he can have a so-so average game and the Patriots can still have a lot of success.
Just having Gronk on the field already changes everything, because you got to take one of your elite defenders to try to guard him. And if you ever slip up, then you already know Gronk's going to have a big game. Someone mentioned, Gregory Castillo mentioned, wait till Hogan comes back. Mm-hmm. That's another weapon right there. Chris Hogan, we know what he can do. He's the one who is leading this team in targets. And now I think it really benefited Cooks to really get acclimated to the system better. Brady had no choice but to trust Cooks. Yeah. And now when you get Hogan back alongside with Cooks, man, this offense is going to be crazy. And like we're saying, this is the CLNS Postgame Show. Keep commenting your thoughts on this game. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. This game was an interesting one because, like we mentioned before, it looked like it could have just been a blowout. Once they were up 14-0, you didn't see much fight into Miami. Those turnovers that the Patriots had in the first half really hurt them and kept Miami, along and kept it a game for a while.
That is true, and like I said in the beginning of the show, it kind of had a feeling early on where you thought the Patriots were just going to run away with this game, and it's going to be a typical, Patriots-Dolphins blowout that could be happening. But, after that fumble that Brady had with the miscommunication with the center, and the Dolphins were able to score, it's just from there on, it's like the Dolphins hung around. They hung around. The Patriots weren't fully able to, break free and put up the huge points. Obviously, the score tells a different story because it looks like it's just a typical blowout. But if you really watch this game, you never really felt like there was a huge separation until like the minutes ticked down in the fourth quarter. So I give the Dolphins a little bit of credit for maybe making it somewhat interesting, but at the same time, I think Patriots just ran off with it and did what we all expected them to do today, and that was to beat the Miami Dolphins.
Another reason why it was so interesting, we talk about Matt Moore getting sacked 7 times. Brady only got sacked once, but it seemed like he got sacked as many times as Matt Moore because he was getting pounded by Sue Wake. That defensive line was really getting at Brady. A couple of times, I thought it was, maybe illegal hits here and there. The referees were really bad throughout this whole game, but we're not going to talk about the rest in this game. But Tom Brady got hit a lot this week, Mike. Sure. And the offensive line, we know we're hurting now. You have the center out, you have Andrews out, Karras is getting hurt, you got Fleming playing right tackle now. There's a lot of injuries with that offensive line, and Brady really took it this week.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I noticed, and if you noticed this dude comment, I know I saw this on Twitter a lot of people are just feeling like the Dolphins were just on a mission to come out and play the Patriots really rough. Obviously, it's football, so it's going to be rough, but like kind of the cheap shots. Brady just getting all these extra hits that, like you said, a lot of them could have been flagged for illegal hits, and whatnot. And then you had that player, I forgot his name, who got tossed out for throwing a punch at Amendola, one of their cornerbacks that's very key to the Dolphins secondary. It just seemed like, I don't know, the Dolphins, I feel like this happens at any level of sports. If you have a team that's, doing well, you have a team who's not really playing for anything. They don't care. The season's somewhat over. It just doesn't matter to them anymore. And they just want to go out and play extra rough, give that guy an extra elbow or something like that. I kind of felt like that was a game that the Dolphins were trying to play, especially defensively. I mean, there was that huge face mask call from Ndamukong Suh that the referees missed. And I guess maybe, I don't know, it happened too fast, so the referees didn't see it. They probably just, if you watched it in regular speed, it just looked like Ndamukong Suh gave that dude a clothesline from hell and just knocked Dion Lewis's head off. But once they slowed it down, it was a clear-cut face mask. I don't know how all the referees that are on the field missed that, but some of the slick stuff that the Dolphins were trying to do and continued to do throughout the game, that, it's just a rough game. So a lot of guys getting hurt on both sides. Football, man, what could you say?
I know, so we said Brady did get hit a lot during this game, but he still threw for 4 touchdowns, went 18 for 28, 227 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception in this game. Another week where he gets hit, but the man's still producing. You didn't need big yardage gains from Brady this game because you already had that 14-0 lead cushion. It was more of, Lewis controlling the game throughout this. But Brady, 4 touchdowns, and still in that MVP race, which has been talked about in the comment boards right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what the Eagles did to the Bears, didn't look pretty. And I mean, I think looking at Wentz stats from the stats that I saw from the game, I don't think it was over yet, but Wentz had a pretty big game. And I think it's back and forth right now between Brady and Wentz. And, it's just going to come down to who has the dominant performance, by the end of the season. And if you look at today's game, Brady's stats weren't awful, but they weren't typical Brady stats. And then at the same time, Wentz went off today against the Bears. So, people's going to go back and forth with who they believe the MVP is. I want to say Brady because the team is successful. The team is winning. He's putting up great stats, and he's 40 years old. Who's a new guy, a new sheriff in town, has, the Philadelphia Eagles playing very well. Their record doesn't lie. I think they're 9-1 and 10-1 right now, and he's putting up great stats. So it's back and forth. Let us know what you think in the comments, who you think the MVP is. Be honest. We understand that it's the Patriots Postgame Show. A lot of you may be Patriots fans, but, be honest. Let us know if you feel like Wentz is doing his thing right now and he's leading the category over Brady. Let us know how you feel. I want to shout out a couple of people who said, they're really feeling the show. Countdown NZ1234 said, don't have a question, but just want to say I love the show. We appreciate the love, everybody. We're live after every game right here on this network, on this YouTube channel. Spread the word. If you enjoy what we do here on this show, let people know we're holding down every game, all the way throughout the postseason and whatnot. Last year, we was doing this first year to the Super Bowl, and it was a great experience, So hopefully we can bring up the same magic we had last year, the same luck we brought doing the show together, and take the Patriots all the way to the Super Bowl again, because we'll be right here holding it down.
A guy I want to highlight on the defensive end is Stephen Gilmore. We know about the touchdown, the interception that he had, and then the second one that, I don't know who they're going to give that to. Maybe it was Harmon. But he was on Devontae Parker for the most part. We brought Gilmore in to really cover those big receivers. Parker, 6'3" receiver, big play guy. Mike, only 1 reception for 5 yards, 3 targets. For the most part, Gilmore shut him down. I know Gilmore has been the guy that everyone's, had a headaches about. They're mad about the big contract. But here's a game where He covers their best receiver other than Landry, and he gets only one reception. He blanked him throughout the whole game.
That's true. You got to give credit where credit is due. A lot of people on Gilmore's case throughout the whole season, but a game like today, obviously, if his job was to handle Devontae Parker, he did a great job. 1 reception, 5 yards, and he got an interception, maybe 2 interceptions, who knows? But you got to give credit where credit is due. Like I said, shout out to Stephen Gilmore with the game that he had. He could be a star of the game, Marv. Later on in the show, he could be a star of the game.
That's an innuendo, Mike?
Might be, foreshadowing a little bit.
Okay, I see that.
Foreshadowing, but, we'll see how it goes. But, yeah.
We still got some couple of comments here about Drew Brees. Could he be in the MVP talk if they win out?
Yeah, I mean, that Saints team has been playing well. And obviously, one thing that has been known about the Saints team over the years, their offense can put up great numbers from that offense. Drew Brees throws for a bunch of yards, a lot of touchdowns, whatever the case may be. But this year, the Saints defense is also stepping up. And there's been a couple of games now where they've had dominant performance. Their defense has been dominant, shutting down teams, not letting the games be a shootout like they have been, over the last, couple of years with that team. So if that team continues to play well, Drew Brees continues to do Drew Brees things with his team, with his weapons, I think that, yes, Drew Brees can be in the MVP conversation with how he's been performing, how the team's been playing as well.
Also, we want to let you guys know that this show is sponsored by MyBookie. Holiday cash, you need it, and I know where to get it. MyBookie is the place to score serious cash on our sports predictions. Believe it or not, the holidays are just around the corner, and while that means plenty of parties, gifts, and spending, it also means that there's a lot of football, basketball, and hockey games, and you can score big on every day. Man up and play like the pros on game day. You can play for the money line side total. MyBookie is your hookup for all your betting needs and offers super fast payouts when you need to win. Where you bet is just as important as how you're betting, and if you want to make money betting the game, you go to mybookie.ag. They're the only site I'd recommend. I trust them, but you don't have to take my word for it. Go check it out yourself. They have the odds on every matchup and mobile site that makes wagering on your smartphone a breeze. Join now on MyBookie, and we'll match your deposit with up to 50%. Use my promo code Patriots to activate this offer. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, and you get paid.
I saw a question about Nate Ebner, huge part of the secondary. I don't have the latest info. I haven't heard, I haven't seen anything about his injury, but from what I saw watching the game, it looked like he was in a lot of pain with whatever he did to his knee. And he was immediately, it wasn't a question of he's questionable to return or whatnot. The announcers came on and said he will not be returning to the game at all. So when something's said like that, it sounds somewhat significant.
They're saying non-contact injury. So we already know what that means. When you hear something like that, it could be significant injury.
Could be significant. Like I said before, he's a huge part of the secondary. I mean, not the secondary, I'm sorry, special teams. The special teams has been playing very well this season, with between Ebner and, Master. I know he's been in and out of the lineup the last couple of weeks, but I like Ebner a lot. I'm a huge Nate Ebner fan and what he brings to the team in the special teams. So hopefully non-contact or, just sprained knee, whatever the case may be, wish him the best speed recovery and hope to have him back on the field as soon as possible.
So looking at the Patriots schedule, Mike, the rest of the season are pretty much divisional games, and then you have that big game against Pittsburgh in 2 weeks. Do you see any struggles throughout the schedule, knowing how the Patriots have been playing, who their opponents are?
Well, I mean, play the Dolphins again coming up, and you handled the Dolphins the way you did today. I don't see any reason why the Patriots can't go into Miami and give the same beatdown that they did today against Miami. That Pittsburgh game is obviously one that everybody's going to be looking at because these are the two top teams in the AFC. And, the winner of that game is probably going to be the team that gets, the number 1 seed, home field advantage throughout the postseason because Kansas City has completely slipped out the picture. from watching the game today, that team is just lost whatever they had and whatever they started the early season, whatever magic they had, it's all gone.
It's done for them. And Alex Smith, I don't know how long you can rock with him being your quarterback for the future.
It's not looking good. But I mean, I think the Patriots will be able to handle the majority of the teams. Obviously, other than that Pittsburgh game, which is a toss-up right now because Pittsburgh is playing very well, the Patriots should take care of every other opponent. I don't think there's anybody else on the schedule that poses a huge threat, in my opinion.
What about that Buffalo game next week? Could be what they call a trap game. You know, Buffalo, you got Tyrod Taylor back. You don't have that bum. What was his name? Nate Peterception?
Nate grocery store bag.
Tyrod Taylor, you know, he's a decent quarterback. You're going into Buffalo, who is still fighting for that playoff spot that you're kind of scared about if you're Patriots.
I personally feel like the defense right now is locked in. The way they performed the last several games, holding teams to 17 points or less, or whatever the stat line is, I think the defense is really locked in right now. Obviously, you have a couple of injuries. You know, hopefully they're not major injuries on the defense. You saw some guys get banged up throughout the game. But I think the way this defense is constructed and how it's been playing over the last couple of weeks, I think there's no problem taking on the Buffalo Bills and containing Tyrod Taylor and containing Shady McCoy and those guys that they have over there. I don't see any reason why the Patriots should fall victim to the so-called trap game or whatever you want to call it against the Buffalo Bills. If you see an opponent that should be light work, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, dust them off.
But as Clifton mentioned, you know, the Buffalo Bills defense is very good. And with this offensive line that has not been playing great, you got to be careful. You don't want Brady to continue getting hits like he got today. This game, you know, Brady got hit a couple times, and the one sack that he did take, he fell on his shoulder hard. And, you know, we know Brady has those shoulder problems throughout his whole career. So you want to make sure this offensive line starts to get healthy, especially winding out in the end of this year.
Absolutely. And other than taking that hit on his shoulder, you know, all the talk, you know, leading up to this game throughout the week was this Achilles injury that Brady had and he was dealing with. And I mean, you don't want to play with an Achilles injury because you mess up the Achilles the wrong way and that could be your season. And at Brady's age, could be your career. So that's not something to play with. You know, it's tough because you have guys rotating in and out of the offensive line because of injuries or whatever the case may be. Something that I've been preaching, I think everybody's been preaching. If you're a Patriots fan, you've been watching the games with Tom Brady, you know, him being 40 years old, him being not a mobile quarterback, and on top of those two things, him being, you know, one of the greatest, if not the GOAT, you know, the best to ever do it. You want to protect him at all costs. And in my opinion, over the last couple of years, this year moving forward, as long as Brady's going to be the starting quarterback for the team, I think that's one area where I want and I hope and I wish that Belichick and the Patriots, you know, spend more time and focus and maybe put out a couple more dollars because you want to get the best offensive line players possible. I don't care who it is. You know you have to protect this guy. You know that Tom Brady can literally step on the field and win with anybody you line up on the left and right of him. Whatever tight end, receiver, Tom Brady can get it done. All you have to do is protect this guy while he's in the pocket and let him work. So I wish and hope and pray that, you know, obviously there's not really much you can do this season with. You just have to roll with who you have, unless, you know, the Patriots pick up a free agent or whatever. I don't know, but they have to roll with who they have. But moving forward, you know, something like I've always said, get whoever you can on this offensive line to protect this guy at all costs.
Yeah, and if you do that, Mike, I can see another ring on those players' fingers.
Why not?
As long as you protect the GOAT, like you mentioned. But
why not?
Looking at the time, MikeNice, I think it's time we start giving out some awards, some accolades for this game. I'm thinking the stars and sorries of the game.
Yeah, let's start it off. For those who don't know, stars and sorries of the game, we give these awards out. If you're a star, you had a dominant performance, you had a great performance, you had a highlight play, you had something that really stood out from the game, and that's why we give that player a star of the game. But if you're a sorry, it wasn't looking good for you today. Whether you had a bad play, whether you did something stupid, whatever the case may be,
we'll call you out.
If it's not looking good and it was a bad performance, we're going to give you a
sorry.
But let's start with the stars.
And make sure you guys comment your stars and sorries
Absolutely.
as well. Let us know what you guys think of the stars and sorries of the game.
Absolutely. So, Marv, who do you maybe have in mind that can receive a star of the game?
One guy I definitely want to talk. We mentioned earlier a little bit, Dion Lewis.
True.
Dion Lewis, 15 carries, 112 yards. His first game, like I said earlier, where he rushed over 100 yards. The guy's really moving the chains. 15. If you're getting over 100 yards and 15 carries, this Patriots offense, the running backs in general, have been moving. Dion Lewis, amazing game from him. He gets my star of the game. Another star, I'm just going to give it to the defense as a whole. The defense was really good. 7 sacks, like we mentioned earlier. That's something you never see here in New England. 7 sacks and 2 interceptions from Gilmore and Harmon. Solid all around. I know they let up 17 points, but if you really think about it, it was just 10 points that they let up. The 7 was off of the turnover, off the bad snap. So defense definitely gets the stars of the game for me.
I'm going to agree with my guy, Teddy Gonzalez, who said, out of the defense, Stephon Gilmore definitely deserves the star of the game. That interception that he has was a huge play. Turnovers are not something that the Patriots force a lot of, but he was able to force one there with that interception, along with the fact that he put the clamps on Devontae Parker and allowed him to be – he was shut down for the majority of the game. You know, 1 reception, I think 5 yards is what he finished with on maybe 4 or 5 targets, whatever the case may be. So you got to give Stephon Gilmore, in my opinion, and clearly Teddy Gonzalez's opinion, a star of the game. Solid performance. This is what the Patriots paid that guy to do. Maybe some turnovers, interceptions, and lock down whatever receiver you're on and just play overall good defense. So Stephon Gilmore, star of the game.
He's gone a long way. He's went from a sorry to a star in this show.
Yeah, he's been on both sides, Let's see. Anybody else that we have here? Everybody's agreeing, you know, Cooks gets an honorable mention. That is true.
Definitely.
Cooks had a great game. You know, like I said, it was really between 4 people: Burkhead, Lewis, Gronkowski, and Cooks. Those were the main guys who contributed. Cooks played a huge part, able to get a touchdown. Brady and him is just getting more and more comfortable over week in, week out.
Hogan injury, obviously, it's unfortunate, but that Hogan injury really helped Cooks out.
Absolutely. But when there's the good,
there's the bad.
And when you're bad on this show, again, we tell you
sorry.
So, sorry of the game. Let us know if you guys have any sorries that you can think of, whether it's on the Patriots or the Dolphins. Let us know. Sorry of the game for me. I got a sorry. And honestly, it's going to catch maybe you off guard, maybe catch you guys off guard. The sorry goes to somebody who didn't even play today.
Whoa. I'm interested in this one. How are you going to give someone a sorry that did not play?
Mike Gillislee.
Sheesh.
What has happened to Mike Gillislee? He on the side of a milk carton right now because he has gone missing. MIA. Is it really his fault, though?
His fault.
It's not. It's not his fault. I feel like he just had that one game where he fumbled and the guy just disappeared ever since.
And then Burkhead was coming back.
Burkhead
came back from injury. You have Dion Lewis playing as great as he's been playing these past several weeks.
And
now.
You know they're not gonna get rid of James White.
James White's that's your clutch guy. Forgotten, you know, he's always forgotten about, but he's gonna come big in 3rd down situations. So, is there room for Gillislee on this team right now?
I thought there was, you know, the whole thing that I was hyping throughout the season. You know, the Patriots have this 4-headed monster at running back: Gillislee, Burkhead, Lewis, White. 4-headed monster. No other team in the NFL has this. You know, Patriots have something unique. And it seemed like it was maybe working for a little bit. They were able to find the balance between those 4 guys, but now it's just like, Gillislee, take a seat. He's not involved anymore. This makes 2, 3 inactives where he's just not, he hasn't suited up, you know, he hasn't been there. And you know what he's capable of doing. You know, he had that fumble, whatever the case may be, his last time he played. But early on in the season, he was pretty reliable.
He was solid
in the short yardage situations, whatnot.
He was solid.
He did a great job. But Burkhead came back, and in all honesty, as great as Galissi has looked throughout the season, if you look at Burkhead's style of play and then you look at Galissi's style of play, the Patriots tend to lean more
versatile
to the versatile Burkhead style of play, which is what Lewis can do and is what White can do. So I guess it kind of makes sense why Galissi is the odd man out. It's unfortunate because Galissi, in my opinion, is very talented, but he ain't playing right now, and he just lost his spot. So with that being said, on this show, from me, I got to give you a sorry. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon, though, Mike Galissi. I like you.
You never know what could happen in this game.
True.
And I got a couple of sorries, Mike. I got two. My first sorry goes out to the refs.
Whew. I like it.
The refs were really bad throughout this whole game. You mentioned the blown call of the face mask. We saw the Dolphins getting a couple extra hits out there. They didn't know what to do during the clock situation. The refs were bad this game. I usually don't like to talk about the refs. Patriots still got this game, but they were hella sorry in this game. So for that, we give you guys a sorry. And now my second sorry, Mike. You know, during the offseason, things are slow. So I just like to read up on the Patriots, hear things here and there. During this offseason, you know, Jarvis Landry spoke up. Jarvis Landry said, you know, this year, the Miami Dolphins are going to sweep the New England Patriots. Sweep. They're going to sweep the New England Patriots. Mike, they're coming off a 4-game losing streak, facing the New England Patriots, and they lose again. They're not going to make the playoffs once again after having a 10-game winning season last year. Jarvis Landry and that whole organization, from this show, y'all are getting sorry.
Yeah, don't open your mouth.
Just don't do it.
What's that saying? Checks your. No, can't say that on this show. Sorry. Just don't open your
family show.
Don't open your mouth, Landry. Just play your game. In all honesty, if you ask me, you should be looking to get out of Miami. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, Landry's a great talent. Hey, you can.
That's a topic for another day. Landry, though, if you want to come over to the
if
you want to come over to the
element getting kind of up there in age, we could take a Landry.
You want to come over and see what winning all about? Just come up the East Coast a little bit. See what New England all about.
We got some comments here. Shout out to my little brother. He says the Dolphins defense was a sorry. You can't disagree with that at all. 35 points. Patriots 4 touchdowns, let them run all over them. You have Sue, you have Wake. You know, that defensive line, you really thought it was going to be their powerhouse with the way they structured it, but it has not been the case so far in Miami whatsoever.
Not at all. I mean, between Ndamukong Suh and Cameron Wake, those guys are elite talent. I'm a huge Ndamukong Suh is so talented, but he just plays so stupid sometimes. So stupid. Comparing him, I know some people like to compare him sometimes to DeMarcus Cousins in the NBA.
Okay.
Some people like to make that comparison because as talented as those guys are, they sometimes do some very stupid stuff. And people know that. That's why they was in a commercial together not too long ago.
Yeah.
I forgot what commercial it was, but talented guys. And Ndamukong Suh, you know, sorry for that guy because he could be so much greater than he is right now.
Another mention was Landon Roberts. He stepped up big, you know, as linebacker for the New England Patriots. He got himself 2 sacks as well. Definitely needs to be, you know, mentioned during this game. Big game from Roberts.
I agree. Big game from Roberts. That's what you need. You know, guys to step up, especially, I know, going back a couple weeks now, but ever since Dante Hightower went out with injury, you know, people have been looking at who is the next guy to really step up and make his name known from this Patriots defense. And Landon Roberts, you know, guys stepping up. Trey Flowers, guys stepping up. So we'll continue to see and take note of who is that guy that can really stand out for the New England Patriots defense. Any last thoughts, though, from you, Marv?
Last thoughts. So again, to the end of the year now, where you really got to start looking at other teams, see how they're doing, where you're going to end up in standings. Big game tonight against Pittsburgh in Green Bay. You know, Pittsburgh has the same record as you, both 8-2. You don't have to worry about Kansas City. no more. It's looking real sorry for them. So it's between, honestly, a race between Pittsburgh and New England. New England can win out if they beat Pittsburgh, win out. They got that #1 seed. But just start watching how Pittsburgh's playing out there. I think an easy, favorable matchup for them against Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers. But watch out for Pittsburgh and see how they're doing.
Yeah, man, I agree 100%. I think it's just right now in the AFC, it's those two teams, Patriots and Pittsburgh Steelers. But hey, man, with all that being said, keep it locked to CLNS Media. There's so much stuff that's happening throughout the week between, everything that Alex Barth is doing, everything that our guy Trags is doing, the roundtables, all the coverage that is happening for the New England Patriots and us as well doing the post-game show. It's a lot going on with CLNS Media Network, so stay locked to this channel, to the website, whatever the case may be. There's so much going on. Next week,
Buffalo Bills.
Bills
at Buffalo.
At Buffalo, in my opinion, looking at another win. Just dust off the easy competition, but it's a divisional opponent who they've played multiple times, so they know what's up. But yeah, I'm thinking a win. Marv?
It's a win. It's a win.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. To everybody who was commenting with us, having a conversation with us, shout out to you guys. You make this show happen because these comments are great and we like talking to you guys and interacting. So yeah, we'll be back next week right after that game against the Buffalo Bills. Marvin Ezhan. I'm Mike Molyneaux. This has been the CLNS Media Network's New England Patriots post-game show. We will see you guys next week.
Go Pats.